Still bold and brazen, Norman Julius Esiason and Chad Ocho Cinco Johnson pick up center stage with their flair for the spotlight and move it into Monday night's larger-than-life Bengals Ring of Honor induction, celebrating the two biggest personalities in franchise history.
Be a pro.
Chad, please.
With a show fit for Broadway, Johnson owned the marquee as the balletic pass catcher who became the Bengals' all-time leading wide receiver in the first decade of the 21st century. He did it all the while declaring he was like your neighborhood 7-Eleven, always open. So was his mouth that never stopped challenging everyone's notion of what football should be. He went from a six-time Pro Bowler with countless moves to social media pioneer with two different names.
Ocho right here now.
His Ring of Honor classmate has just as much of that great white way chutzpah.
You know, when I got to Cincinnati in 1984, they had just hired a new coach. They brought in both of us together at the same time. And we both had unique personality traits, to say the least.
Shoot.
58G release.
All right. Tree.
647 bend in.
I think I passed my oral exam today.
Sam was a guy who, there was never a dull moment. There was always something going on. And one story I do remember, me and my backup quarterback, Mike Norsteth, took Sam Weish to a local comedy club. And he didn't think we were telling the truth when we invited him to go to this comedy club, maybe have a few laughs. And he threatened Mike Norsteth. He goes, I can't get rid of Boomer, but I can get rid of you. So if you guys don't show up, you're gonna get cut.
Boomer Esiason has always gone as big as his native New York, winning the 1988 NFL MVP and leading the Bengals to a Super Bowl as their candid, take-it-all-on locker room captain before embarking on a tell-it-like-it-is broadcasting career that saw him work a record number of Super Bowls.
From my perspective, we had to cover him. He was so good with the media.
We have to fight ourselves from the doldrums.
I believe, if I remember correctly, he interned for a television station when he was at Maryland. He knew exactly what we needed, what we wanted. He made time for us. Everything he did was organized and in that manner where he had command of it, on or off the field.
That's the way to go, That's the way to go, Blaze.
A lot of respect for that guy and the way he carried himself here, the way he led that team. He certainly deserves this honor, there's no doubt about it.
Through it all, he emerged as one of the world's most recognizable philanthropists in the fight against cystic fibrosis as he took each grueling step with his son. Born with CF 32 years ago in Cincinnati, now Gunnar Esiason is a father, a symbol himself of the family's defiance of the disease. Call his dad Boompa.
As far as playing goes, every player feels like their career speaks for itself. But the game of football gave me something even more precious, and that is a platform to save a life of my son. My son was diagnosed with cystic fibrosis in 1993, and the NFL gives me this amazing platform to go out and raise hundreds of millions of dollars and put a face on the disease. When my son told me in June of 2021 that he and his wife were pregnant with my grandson, I had never ever had a feeling like that in all of my life. I felt like I had won 10 Super Bowls, 20 Super Bowls. I always say that Gunnar is my hero and that Casper, my grandson, is our miracle.
9-yard line, back split, Dillon left, Milne to the right, in motion, comes McGee. And Boomer with the call, pumps once, throws in the end zone. Yep. Touchdown, Tony McGee. It's 13-0 Bengals.
Even like a Sinatra or an aging rock band, Esiason's big-as-brass playing career ended with a dramatic comeback in a short but spectacular stretch he calls as satisfying as any moment he ever had. After playing his first 9 seasons and going to 3 Pro Bowls in Cincinnati, he returned as a backup in 1997.
Unbelievable. The blonde bombshell is hot, baby.
When I came back at the end of my career, it may have been some of the most fulfilling football that I had ever played.
And Houdini Esiason has done it again.
I never, in my wildest dreams, thought it was going to end the way that it did, on the high note that it did.
And he comes back in 97 and goes on that run at the end of the year.
Well, Boomer was razor sharp on that bad boy.
It was like, holy smokes, the old Boomer's back. Like, he was unbelievable during that run. It was almost heartbreaking that he retired after that.
At age 36, Esiason came off the bench in his Hot as Hell reunion tour to win 4 of the last 5 games with a career-best 106.9 passer rating, and went out with a winning 77-yard curtain call on his last NFL throw.
It was fake 16, boot left, throwback, post to Darnay Scott, I believe.
And the bombshell goes over the top to Darnay.
Naturally, it came off one of the play-action fakes he perfected as one of the NFL's top quarterbacks in the 1980s. That was back when Esiason emerged as the chief engineer of Bengals head coach Sam Wyche's industry-changing no-huddle offense.
The sugar huddle and the no huddle, man, when they went to that thing, nobody had done that before the way the Bengals did it. That was a weapon. I mean, woo.
Very nice, very nice.
He would call out who's hot, who's this, that, and you knew Boomer was in control.
Quickly up to the line, Esiason sets his troops.
He took what the coaches cooked up and then probably added a little extra while we were out there playing. And that's just Boomer.
He's a star. I wasn't going to call him that. If I don't call him that now, then people are going to think I'm stupid again.
When we were in the no huddle, it just purred. He knew how to react to what the defense did, and he could adjust what we were doing. He was someone who could play the piano, if you will, by nature. It just came to him.
Long before 21st century icons Peyton Manning and Tom Brady made audibles famous and lucrative, Esiason merely changed a word at the line of scrimmage to let loose Wyche's bevy of playmakers.
Fly, Dallas Tom! Fly, Dallas Tom!
Esiason's line of scrimmage genius exploited enough mismatches to put the Bengals in a Super Bowl, win an NFL passing title for Esiason, and 2 team rushing titles for one of the greatest offensive lines of all time, anchored by Hall of Fame left tackle Anthony Munoz. Off the field, his leadership was just as groundbreaking as a union leader who kept his team together in the teeth of 1987's tumultuous strike and held it together to take them within 34 seconds of the next year's Super Bowl title.
Well, 1987 was a very turbulent time in the NFL, and especially for the Cincinnati Bengals. I was the NFL PA rep, and it got really hairy and intense for a lot of different reasons.
So many guys had so many different thoughts during that strike year. He was the guy that kept all the team together. And that's just Boomer, and that's the way he is. He's very much take charge guy.
One story I do remember, I was asked whether or not we were going to practice as players by ourselves. And my answer to that was, if I can get some footballs, I would. Sam Wyche then was asked, would he give me footballs? He said, well, Boomer's the highest paid player in the league. He can go buy the footballs.
A quarterback who memorized the offensive lineman's prayer, Esiason's largesse with his guys up front is just as legendary as his quick strikes. From customized ostrich skin boots to NFL leather briefcases, to Breitling watches, to a fleet of 35mm cameras, to a weekly $1,500 stipend to the highest graded O-lineman with strict orders to spend it on the group. Esiason's Ring of Honor classmate also brought plenty of gifts in his decade that was so prolific.
Y'all talk about me?
An ultra-quick first step that made him almost invisible at the line of scrimmage. Hands with enough glue to stick 490 catch seasons. A pair of championship boxers' feet gliding over the turf and defying the sideline.
Oh, what a grab! Ocho Cinco!
They combined to make him the first man in the history of the modern NFL to win 4 straight conference receiving yardage titles, and left a blaze of highlights at the center of the Bengals renaissance under head coach Marvin Lewis that made the stripes one of the most recognizable uniforms in the NFL.
I know you can't cover, you too pretty.
When I got the job in 03, he was just some dude that wore 85.
I want to be one of the greatest to ever play this game.
That's not a secret.
But I want to be better than Rice.
That's right.
Y'all got to help me.
And we're going to help you. His ability to track the football.
He caught that? Oh, my!
His burst and acceleration to create separation between he and the defensive back was exceptional.
He had as much quickness as anyone we've ever had. You see him here, and the next thing you know, he's over here. Boom, it's that fast.
Touchdown, Cincinnati!
There was a time where you couldn't cover him. People invented defenses to try to cover him, where a team just like, okay, we're going to put 2 people on this guy. We're going to leave the other 9 to try to defend your other 10 people, but this guy's not going to do that to us. He was the first time I'd seen that.
We're double covering this, so you deal the night off. Come on. We're gonna watch you run in the end zone and spike the ball here.
He made the Bengals cool.
You can always count on me. I'm like life insurance.
Who comes into a franchise that was having the trouble they were having at the time, and 2 years later, the Bengals were cool, man.
Chad Ochocinco shows great body control.
Chad Johnson, perfect hands, perfect feet.
I got a trivia question. It's a new year, same old question. How do you stop 85?
From point A to point B, stop. My ability to run full speed and stop on a dime. And just being very precise. No wasted movement. Easily the best route runner to ever play the game. I'm not sure who would want to argue with that. We can pull up the film.
Racing past Pro Football Hall of Fame cornerback Champ Bailey on a Monday night on a 50-yard touchdown that ignited a win over Denver. An NFL record 450 yards in back-to-back games. A third-and-goal touchdown catch as the clock ticked to the last 2 minutes to decide a 10-10 game.
Touchdown on his back!
After stretching backward to secure the 2009 AFC North title, he raised his hands to signal the number 15 of fallen teammate Chris Henry. Johnson liked to hone those massive skills in a boxing ring during the off-season, and during the season, he adopted the persona of the greatest ringmaster of all, with alley-like boasts and guarantees.
If we don't win this game, I'm not doing my job. I got you. I got you. I got you.
Whatever you want to do, baby, I got you now.
Chad, please. Chad, please. Chad, please.
You take anything for the game?
Yeah. Viagra.
I played football like a little kid. The same way I played here at the highest level is the same way I played in high school. And I was vilified for that. Having fun. The average career is what, 2 or 3 years? 10 is a long time. It's even longer when you're talking trash and everybody's trying to kill you every Sunday.
What you looking at? What you looking at? Now you don't even speak to me, man. You can say what's up, you don't say nothing. They all scared to death over here. They only want to talk. I'm not the bad guy. I love you. We're trying to show you some hospitality, buddy.
On media day, it was a race to go to his locker. He would have a horde around him because you had to get Chad and you had to get the checklist.
Whatever I say today, you call me Ochocinco. Do not say Chad. You're gonna get a pay cut.
He always had something funny to say about the upcoming opponent, and he didn't back down one bit.
You gotta be kidding. Wow. Chad Ochocinco.
Look at this.
He drills it.
While declaring he was the greatest, Johnson displayed in his locker a list of cornerbacks, always with a tick in the win column. In between guaranteeing a win against the undefeated Chiefs and sending Pepto-Bismol to the Cleveland secondary, he devised weekly touchdown celebrations that broke NFL law and drew large fines, but charmed the fans.
Walking out that stadium and hearing that crowd, that's one of the greatest feelings. I was going to make sure you got your money's worth every Sunday. No matter what we're going through, losing, winning, you're gonna get the same Chad, so there's something to see no matter what.
Uh-oh. Check this out. Future Hall of Fame.
I really love Chad's celebrations because Chad did it within the letter of the rules. I mean, he was always going to push everything to the limit, but, you know, the rule was you score a touchdown, you can celebrate. And he did it in fine fashion, and you know, and that became what's Chad gonna do when he scores the next touchdown.
And here comes the celebration. What's he gonna do?
You know, I want to see Chad score touchdown after touchdown after touchdown until he had no more celebrations left.
If I get in the end zone, make sure you keep the camera on me.
In 2001, 2002, Chad Johnson was the reason that people even listened. I mean, every single one of our games is at 1 p.m. It's never a good thing in the NFL. His charisma, it brought attention to us.
Every Cincy kid can recite the litany of their favorite Chad celebration. The river dance, the pylon putt, the Hall of Fame jacket, and his favorite, the marriage proposal to a Bengal cheerleader.
Got on a knee like he was proposing to Daphne over there.
She said yes, and still to this day, she doesn't know we are technically still married.
I don't know if Daphne accepted or not.
If she's watching, Daphne, call me.
Call me, call me, call me.
I want to be known as the one who made football fun again, said Johnson, who can still see his work today. The celebrations that Johnson made routine aren't outlawed. They're choreographed. His reach is so long and current on social media that he co-produced Bengals running back Joe Mixon's coin flip celebration in last year's regular season finale, thrilling another Paycor Stadium crowd a dozen years after his last routine.
And it works out just fine for Cincinnati.
Now Chad Johnson's theatrics and Boomer Esiason's no-huddle offense are saluted in another Paycor celebration. Once considered off-the-wall outliers, they are now staples of today's NFL and enshrined for tomorrow's game in the Bengals Ring of Honor.